Welcome to UnstuckAF, a podcast here to help you do you better. There's a path that starts where you are, passes through who you are, and leads where you want to go. We're here to hear from people who've walked that path or who are walking it right now. This is Orlando Bishop, Coach Orlando, and I thank you for listening as we learn how to get unstuck, how to be unstuck, how to live unstuck. Unstuck as All right, folks, we have with us today LaToya Harris. And if that last name sounds a little familiar from this season, Cornelius C.J. Harris, who is on to talk about aligned relationships, is LaToya's husband. So we are cousins in love, as we've been all adopted as our phrase, and as we've all become a whole lot closer. I'm not gonna say too much about what you do, because that's part of the story. But I will say that I wanted you to be here in particular because I was so impressed and moved by your perseverance and your resilience. And I just thought it was a perfect story for somebody to talk about getting unstuck and continuing when you know where the point is for you to continue on their way. So, I've already told you how impressed I've been and how proud I am of you. And now I want you to share your story some. So say hi to the folks.
Hello, everyone.
I wanted to start out by asking you the question I told you, we generally start here, which is how and or when did you know that nursing was going to be a big part of your life?
Well, I thought of becoming a nurse when I was young. I want to say maybe around 7 or 8.
Oh, wow.
It started off as a teacher, started off as a hairdresser, but then I call her my aunt, but she's one of those good family friends that's been around for forever. She ended up going back to school, to college, and she was in like her 50s. She went back to college to become a nurse. So that was a lot of determination for me to watch her do. So as I started getting older and really having to think, okay, what is your next step? What are you going to do? Like, what's happening? Hairdressing was still like one of my go-to things because that's how I made my little money when I was little, to go to the corner store. So
hey, nothing wrong with that.
So as I got older, I was always caring for people. If someone was sick, I was always going to make sure they're okay. I was always making sure if somebody needed something that I can help assist with whatever it is. I was always one of those kids that would go the extra mile. Okay. So as I kept getting older and older, I'm like, all right, nursing, things led to like a whole different path than what I wanted it to be. Was going to go to college, Johnson C. Smith, to go into nursing, but that plan fell through. So I'm like, okay, so where do I start now? Not having a lot of guidance because my mom is an older person, so she didn't really know much. But my 2 older siblings that is in college, they live in Florida. So they couldn't really give me much insight. So as I was getting older, I was like, okay, college is not a thing right now. Let's go to the next step. So I went to medical assistant school. I became a medical assistant, got a job right out after finishing, and I'm gonna have to back up. Before going into medical assistant school, I actually went and signed up for hairdressing school after I was, right after I got laid off of a job that I had. I'm like, okay, so let's try the hairdressing thing. I went, signed up for it. CJ was like, that's not what you really want to do, right? So I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, you're not going to be able to do that. First of all, you can't stand on your feet that long. You don't really like talking to people. If they say something wrong, it's just going to go left. So let's not do that. So I'm like, okay. I was like, you may be right. So I ended up searching, and one of my friends that I was working with at a different job, she said to me, she was like, you should try going into medical assistant school at this place. I'm going too. So I'm like, that sounds good. She was like, we can go together. We can, carpool and stuff like that. So I'm like, all right, let's give it a try. So I went, it was a 16-year program, went and started working right after that, was with the company that I got hired at for maybe 17 years, all while doing this. In the back of my head, I'm still like, I don't want to just do this. This is not enough. Like there's certain limits you can have for doing becoming a medical assistant. You can't do all the other stuff that I wanted to do. And then my dad got sick, and then it was, okay, he has to be in a nursing facility because he needed 24-hour care. We couldn't give it to him. He ended up passing away. And then that really pushed me even further to really go hard for nursing and try to find a way to do it. So after all of that, got married, had a baby, put things on the back burner for a little bit. Still working as a medical assistant, but in the back of my head, I'm still not satisfied.
Right.
So I started LPN school, like maybe year 10 of working with the office I was working with. Ended up having my second child. So it was like, okay, we're gonna have to figure this out, CJ. He was like, nope, I got you. Go at night, work during the day. So working full time, going to school at night, trying to figure out mom's situation, wife's situation. But I made it through. I finished LPN school with the thought process that I can just go right into RN, bridge on over, and be okay. Ended up staying with the job again for a couple of years because, we can help you. We're going to help you get further. This would be a good idea for us. We can help you, with getting to where you need to be. But that didn't turn into a good situation either because the provider that is the primary person in the office, because it's privately owned, wasn't such a nice person. Yeah, he was verbally abusive to a lot of the staff. And me and my attitude, it was not one of us going to have to go. Right. Coming home from dealing with that, CJ was like, yeah, we need to figure something out because I can't keep being the person you beat on after you leave there. We got to do something about that. So I'm like, all right, you're right. So I went to the university that's connected with the program that I went to in LPN. I'm like, okay, I just finished LPN school at the academy over there. They said I can slide in with the bridge program. Yeah, that's not possible. What do you mean that's not possible? Well, we can't transfer any of the classes that you took at the LPN school into this program. You have to have college courses. Okay. I was like, okay, so what does this mean? Right. My plan is not going as planned again.
Yeah.
So I came home, I told CJ about it. He was like, well, what do you actually need to do? So I'm like, I have to take some college courses. So he was like, all right, this is what you want. Then we're going to have to figure it out. All right. So here we go. Now, okay, have to stay at this place for a little bit longer because I have to go to school now again.
Right.
So I ended up taking a couple of college courses here and there. I was doing like 2 a semester, and then I was doing like 3 sometimes if I can do like a half bridge, like hybrid is what it's called. So I was doing that. So sometimes, some semesters I'm doing 3 classes. I'm working Monday through Friday, going to school on the weekend. Like it was becoming a lot. So then everything started going smooth. And then my anxiety started kicking in a little higher than it needed to. Didn't realize I had anxiety for a while, but I knew something was off. So after being in school and going to talk to my doctor, I'm like, listen, I don't know what it is. Like, I am anxious, but now it's like worse. Like, I don't know. There's like I'm sitting here thinking some days, like, well, what if the house burned down? What if I don't make it home?
Oh,
Like,
wow.
what if something happened to like one of my family members? Like, how can I deal with that? And I was like, I don't like talking about death. So that with this is not helping. So she was like, okay, so let's just take a couple of deep breaths because I see you're starting. I'm like, this is my life. Like, I can't, like, every day I'm thinking of this. I can't sleep all the time. I'm constantly like anxious or worried about something. So she was like, okay, so you're going to school full time and you're working full time and you have 2 small kids and you have a husband.
Right. No pressure. No pressure, right?
Right. That's right. So I'm like, well, now that you say all of this is a lot.
Yeah.
So she was like, so we're gonna try some things. I'm gonna put you on a small dose of medication. Try it. I'm like, okay. Was taking that consistently. Anxiety was a little bit better, but not to where I was not thinking about it. So as the months went on, I'm finishing school. I finished all the courses I needed. Now it's time to apply for the program. And here we go now, kicking it into high gear because now I got to take this test. Test anxiety is ridiculous. Okay. Bump anxiety by itself. Test anxiety with anxiety is 1,000 anxiety.
Now, is that was always something for you? Was test anxiety always a thing and it just so happened that now you're dealing with it on top of the other, or was that a new development?
I never thought of having test anxiety until I literally started like the whole school, like higher education with the LPN program. And like even with my medical assistant class, I never was nervous about taking the test. I just go in. If I get a bad grade, okay, I'll figure it out. So I never, even like thinking about it now, that was never an issue for me, even being younger. Like going into school, like I just always do my work and just be okay. But all of this came, I guess this was something new. Like, and I want to say it was probably from the amount of times that I failed trying to get into this program. So now I have that on my shoulder. Like, okay, what if this is that time again? I finished all the testing stuff that I needed to, got into the program, anxiety still not where it needed to be. So we had to go up a dose. Went up a dose, started getting better, doing what I needed to do in school. School got better. Clinical started coming around. So now here I am again, not only doing my full-time job, but I have to go to class 2 days out the week. And then on the weekend, I have clinicals and still have a family. Because they're not going anywhere.
No.
So it became a lot. And then just dealing with different situations at home, like just with my family and stuff, like with my extended family and things like that. A lot piled up on, and I didn't realize how bad it was until I was getting ready to actually graduate from the nursing program.
Okay, so this anxiety starts to kick in. As you said, part of it was that it seems like the pressure of the program built up as there were times that you didn't get there. So then once you were finally there, now what do you think drove that? Was it just sort of like wanting to hold on, like it has to work this time, I finally got in? Was it something beyond that? Was it the pressure from home of like, we put all these resources into it, so now I got to make something happen? Like, what have you found, if you found, made the difference and sort of shifted you in that new direction, since that wasn't something you had experienced before?
So it was actually something that I really wanted for myself. Like me wanting to be a nurse, me wanting to be at this level. So when I thought about all of that, I'm like, I'm not just doing this for my family. I'm doing this for myself. Now that I'm thinking of myself, I actually got to really apply myself and I got to get it done. Like all the talks that I had in my head from when I was telling my children the same thing. I build them up constantly, but I need to start building myself up. And that was that thing for me. Like, okay, you have anxiety. Great. Okay. You're not the first, you're not the last. So let's work through it.
I love that. When you built yourself up, how'd that work for you? I mean, I know, I'm doing therapy now myself, and I've been using mantras and a lot more positive self-talk than ever before. My therapist really believes in that. I'm just wondering, what did that actually look like for you? Was it just sort of sending yourself certain messages, or how did you go about building yourself up?
Was taking the RN exam, this recent exam that I took, and I failed twice before. When it was due for the third time, I changed everything. How I talk to myself, what I do throughout the day. I've started therapy. I stopped taking the medication that my doctor gave me and was taking like a supplement called Anxious List. So it's a herbal supplement that I got because the medication, worked, but it wasn't really working. And then I forget to take it and it was just too much. So I'm like, let me try something different. So with therapy, I tried the Anxious List. I tried motivation. I got a motivation app on my phone where it sends me quotes and things and I'll read it. I even started doing, my therapist referred me to doing, she told me about meditation. So I got a meditation app on my phone as well. So she said, listen, you gotta figure out what works for you. So with the combo of all of that and revamping my study schedule, I went to just studying just 1 hour a day versus 2 or 3 hours a day.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was doing a lot. I'm like, listen, I need to get this in, so I need to get it in any way that I can. So sat down, we did a schedule so I can block out an hour of my day every day, get it done uninterrupted. Once that hour is up, I put everything away, don't think about nothing else, just relax and enjoy the kids.
Right.
So I did that. I started going back on my walks. I started trying to do things that I like to do. So walking and jogging to clear my head, I started doing that. And just the combo of all of that, I think has helped me a lot. My anxiety level, my stress level, everything has went down. I couldn't even, CJ came in sometimes like, well, who are you? Like, you're a totally different person right now.
Right.
And I think all of it stemmed from starting with therapy, because that's what motivated me to do all of the extra stuff.
The other things. Yeah.
Right.
Now, what was it like for you? And I asked this specifically of you, in part because you're a Black woman, right? And I feel like through my life, but also through my coaching, that a lot of Black women who I've either worked with or been friends with or just had conversations with, there's a lot of, I take care of everybody. And at the end of the day, there's no more me left for me. I feel like even if it's not put in those words, once I talk to them, I'm like, I think I know some of what's going on. Right. So one, what was it like for you to go, no, I don't have to make this about what I'm doing for my kids or my husband or anybody else. This is going to be for me. And two, how did you come to, and I'm going to need to take the time to meditate, and I'm going to need to take the time for my walk and my jog. How did you work yourself through that? Because I feel like I've just witnessed so many versions of, I had one woman who was a very good friend and a client, but who I used to tell her, you got to put that cape back on the shelf. Didn't I tell you put that cape on the shelf? And she'd start laughing. I'm like, don't you come over here with that cape on. I told you about that cape, but there is that expectation. So how did you find I'm going to call it strength, or you may call it something else and tell us, but how did you find it that allowed you to say, no, I need to do this for me? That's
a good question, because I didn't really find it. I was still struggling with it. I really didn't find it until I started therapy, because my therapist had this pause moment. Like, let's think about some things. You go home, you don't cook. Okay. You go do something else. Will they eat? I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay.
Correct.
So you don't have to, is what I'm telling you. So I was like, sitting there listening to her, I literally had like a aha moment. Within the first 20 minutes, she was like, I know this is the first 20 minutes of our session, and I just laid this on you real thick, but I just need you to understand. And I'm like, you know what? I get it. Like, now that you're saying it, and I'm actually living it and looking at
Mm-hmm.
it, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have to do everything. I don't have to be that go-to person for everyone, not just my
Mm-hmm.
kids and my husband, but I still have all my other family over here that literally comes to me for everything. So it's like, what I want you to start doing is you're going to start saying no.
Mm.
I said, what's no? I don't even know what that is.
You said, wait,
like,
I'm
are
sorry.
you serious? what language is that?
Right.
So she was like, no, I want you to, even with your mom, she was like, I understand there's 6 of you. So let's try this out. Let's give each sibling a day. You can't be the person Sunday through Saturday. Have a talk with your siblings. Which day would you like? Which day works for you where mommy can call you and be like, hey, I need you to do what X, Y, Z. Like, you're going to let her know, like, this is your day. If you need anything, to reach out to me. I actually didn't have to use that because I went to my mom and was like, I just need some time. Like, I know you need me for stuff, but I have this going on that I need to focus on. I have my kids that I need to focus on. So I need you to start outsourcing to the other siblings if you really need something. Like, honestly, obviously I'm not going to leave her by the wayside. I'm going to go and I'm going to check on my mom. So she understood it. And she was like, you know what? Okay.
I love that.
Just having that talk. But instead of doing was the other thing she said, talk. So talked about it. She's been doing better, even with just regular relationships. She was like, listen, you can't always be on the go with everyone. It's okay to tell these people, no, I can't do this today. No, you can't come over today. No, I got this going on. So I started doing that more, which freed up a lot of my time so I can start giving it back to myself. So now I can freely go on my walks and jogs if I want to without having to worry about if dinner's ready or if my mother needs me for something or if I got to do something for somebody. I can just go and do what I want to do for myself.
Got you. No, this is great. And I love this. And it's so important because at any rate, soon there's going to be a session that we're going to record that's going to be called Are You Overwhelmed? And I think what you're talking about right now is top of the list. It's like, and I don't have the piece around being a woman in the family, which I think can be very specific, especially again for Black women. But I know for me, I came to the same place where it was like, bruh, every time somebody calls you and say, hey, do you want to work on? You can't say yes to everybody. You might like them, you might love them, but you can't say yes to everybody. So that really resonates. Let me ask you though, if you, as you were growing up and you knew you wanted to become a nurse, there were these different things, did you always have this impulse to take care of others, right? Because for me, there's always this thing that sometimes the thing that makes us the most special or the thing that's whatever can also be the thing that gets us into trouble, right? So great, you want to be a nurse, you want to take care of people. Taking care of people is getting in the way you becoming a nurse. So did you always have that impulse, and what are some other ways that maybe it showed up, as you were coming up or as you were a young adult?
Yes, I was always told that I was that person. I would, even with playing with baby dolls and things, we were actually playing in the hospital. I was helping take care of the broken leg that I imagined the doll had. Wow. If somebody in our neighborhood was sick or not feeling well, I would be the person to be like, okay, would you like some chicken soup? Like, do you need me to go to the store for you? We had older people in our neighborhood as well. And that was always I'll go and knock on their door. Do you need me to go to the store for you for anything? Are you okay? Like, is it something that you need me to do that you can't do? I was always, even with the children in the neighborhood who needed their hair done, who couldn't get it done, or look, I was okay. I can do your hair. That's fine. I'll go talk to the parent and like, I can definitely do their hair for this small fee, braid their hair. And that was that. Going over family house. There, we're all having a good time. We're all cooking. They're all chatting and everything. I'll be the first one to get up and go wash the dishes and help put the food up or clean up. So they won't have to do it by themselves if it's at somebody else's house. So I was always the person that always thought about others, literally.
Say, what's your experience of that, right? I mean, because you even smile as you're talking about it. And I could just knowing you, I could totally see you seeing some, young person and being like, yes, I can help you out, for whatever the fee is that, that folks might be able to do. When you go wash those dishes, when you go comb that hair, when you're doing those things and have moved even into, the place you want to be in terms of nursing, what's the actual experience like? Is it that you feel fulfilled, or that you feel like, what does it actually feel like when you're being that version of Toya?
So the first feeling I get is irritated and upset, because why am I the only person thinking about doing this? So
I
that's
love that
always
you
my
shared
first
that.
thought. Like literally my cousins or friends or anything, why are you not getting up to go help? Why are you not helping this child do something with her hair? So that's always my first thought. But then then I come to realize it's not even about what they're doing or why they're not doing it, which has also been a problem I have had, always thinking about what other people are thinking or doing. So I've started to not do that and just think about what I'm doing, how is helping the other person, or how is making the other person feel. So now the little girl has her hair done. She don't have to go to school looking any old kind of way. She looks pretty and she's happy. Older family members don't have to go stand up in the kitchen and scrub dishes. They can still entertain guests, and even after the guests leave, they can go to bed instead of worrying about who's going to wash all these pots.
Yeah.
So things like that is what really gets me excited. Like just being able to do it for other people, and then just seeing how grateful they are. And even like with their words, like even my patients to this day, if I call them back or give them some information, they're like, you know what, I am so grateful that you're doing what you're doing. I really, really appreciate you.
That's
that
beautiful.
Feeling alone, that makes it that makes the other 10 patients who was pissed off, excuse my French, a little bit better.
Right. Yeah.
But yes, just the thought, joy from the person that I'm giving the care to is just amazing.
Now, I obviously met you, through CJ and family and all of that. And one of the things that makes me smile, y'all know I like to tease you, because man, y'all be giving each other the love on social. I'm like, good Lord, y'all gonna get me in trouble over here.
That will definitely be CJ, because I am not that person.
So I'm curious, how does that work for you in those roles as wife and as mother, that instinct that you have to take care of? And did you need to curb it there as well? Like you mentioned dinner, but were they like, how did you strike that balance? Because I know what your children mean to you, and I know what your husband means to you. I've got to know you. I know what family means. So it wasn't a small thing to be like, oh, don't worry about it, go for your jog.
Right.
So how did you handle that?
It was tough. It's still tough some days, depending on the day, especially with him studying now. Is like, okay, we don't really see much of each other. So I have to figure out when or how to, I have to really like strategically sit down and organize my day. Being in the role, I kind of had to take a step back too, because it can be overbearing. So we did run into that, and it was like, I let me help you, CJ would say. You're not, we're in this together. We're in a relationship together. It's not just you. So I can do these things. You just have to let me do it.
Yeah.
And I would look at him and be like, but I can handle it. He was like, I know you can.
Right. That's not what I'm saying.
But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we're partners. So how about I do this and I do this, and then you do this, and that will free up some time. Even with the kids, now that they're getting older, Mom, you don't have to do that. I got it. You already told me that. I got it. I can handle it. Serenity, I can do dinner one day. But are you sure? Yes. Okay. Well, let me see. No, I have it.
Right.
Go sit down and go do this. I'm like, oh, okay. So that, it feels good, but I also feel that I get some feelings sometimes like they're not going to need me anytime coming soon. Like what's happening?
I know.
But I do get it. Like I want them to be independent. I want them to be able to hold their own, and I can't keep cradling them. And it's the same. Like they say to me, CJ say to me, like, you do too much. Like, it's okay to have a relaxed day. It's okay to come in the house and just sit down. You don't have to do the dishes. You don't have to sweep the floor. You don't have to do anything. It will get done.
Now, what's that experience like? I get the sense that for some people that it's difficult on a whole other level. Like I have my own versions of it, but that the idea of going home and sitting down when there's a bed that could be changed and there's like that is its own difficulty. Can you describe the difficulty? What's the actual feeling? What is actually happening in you, or what are the thoughts you're having as you sit there that make it uncomfortable?
Oh, I can't sit there. I can't. I tried. I will go next door to my mom's house or my niece's house to prevent me from doing anything. I will be like, okay, well, I could go do a quick workout or something like that. Or now that I have the free time, I can actually pick up a book and actually read it and not have to think about anything else. So now with me doing that is hard, but it's not as hard as long as I'm filling my time doing something else. If I'm just sitting there and not doing anything, I'm gonna go and fold up some clothes. I'm gonna go wash something. I'm gonna go do something. So in order for me not to do that, I have to do something else.
Put something in its place. That makes that makes sense.
Right.
Now I want to get to the test to become an RN. Because as you mentioned, and I feel like I knew about the first one and that you didn't pass, but it was like, all right, things happen.
Right.
But when you didn't pass the second time, I got the feeling like, no, this was another level of disappointment.
Yeah.
This was another, right? And I even reached out to you. Like, I was like, hey, you all right? Like, how can I help? Can you walk us through that experience, whether you started the first test or the second test, what it was like to prepare to have this thing you've wanted to be since you were a little girl, and to have it be just a little out of reach twice?
So the first time I went and took it, I had the whole notion, like they tell you in school, don't wait too long. If you can take it right when you're done, go take it. Okay. When we have an exit exam that we have to do. So I did the exit exam. I didn't pass it by 5 points. So I had to go do a tutoring session.
Okay.
So I couldn't get the okay to take the first exam until I finished the tutoring session. So once I finished the tutoring session, I booked my exam for maybe like a couple of weeks, maybe a month out. So I'm like, okay, everything's still fresh that I need to know. So this should be okay. So I went, I guess I was nervous, had some anxiety. So went and, just praying and just trying to calm myself down so I could just sit and take the test. So took the test. They have this quick results where you can get the results quicker, 48 hours instead of waiting 7 days for them to send it to you in the mail. Of course, for a small fee, because why wouldn't it be?
Right.
So I did that, and then I seen that I didn't pass. So I'm like, okay. I wasn't that mad about it because I didn't tell a lot of people when I was taking the test. So I'm like, okay. No big deal. I'm not going to have people down my back. Like, did you pass? Did you pass? What happened? Whatever. Got it. Second time, my uncle ended up having emergency heart surgery. There was a lot of things going on. We went to go see him. He had open heart surgery earlier in the year, and we went to go see him around Thanksgiving. So when we was coming back from our vacation, that's when I was due to take the test. So I knew that I was going to pass. Like, it was in my soul that I got this. I've studied. I didn't study for the last couple of weeks because we were on vacation, but I worked my study schedule to have that week free. So if I didn't study, it wouldn't harm me in any way. So me and CJ did the schedule. We figured it out. We went on vacation. We came back. I started studying again, did the test, and got it right away, an email right away. It wasn't 48 hours. It wasn't nothing like that. Literally an email came to my phone and said you failed. So I'm like, now I'm not only am I pissed, but I am hurt. Because this is not the first time, this is the second time. And I've always been that person to always pass at least the first time and with the good grade.
Right.
So I'm sitting here doubting, now I'm doubting myself because I'm like, okay, maybe this is not for me. So I'm even mad at God at this point because I'm like, okay, I keep asking you for guidance. I keep asking you to help me out and you're not. Like, is this for me? Like,
yeah, what are we doing right now?
Like, am I wasting my time? Is I wasting my money? Like, what happened?
Right.
So now I'm doubting myself. I'm angry. I'm upset. My anxiety has gone even higher because now I'm like, okay, I can't do this. This is not gonna work. So CJ sat me down, was like, at first when I got the results, he was like, okay. He didn't know how to react to me being in the place that I was because I literally shut down. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't do anything. I just literally came and just laid in a bed for like a good couple of hours and was just like, so he was like, okay, I don't know what you need, but I'm just letting you know I'm here. So I didn't say anything. I just still kept doing that, my soaking. So then afterwards, he came, he was like, you know what? You're going to keep going because you're not giving up. Because I was at that point, I was like, okay, I'm not going to do this again. I'm not about to schedule the test. I'm not going to keep studying. It's not working. So why keep doing it? He was like, okay, so we're not doing that. You're not going to give up because we don't give up. There is more than one way around this situation, and we just have to figure it out. We're going to have to start thinking outside the box, change up a few things. So he even reached out to his best friend mom, who is an RN as well, and was trying to get ideas from her of what I can do. I didn't even know this until like after he came to me and was like, well, I did talk to, he called her mom too. So he's like, I did talk to her mom and this is what she suggests. So how about we try this? That's where we came up with the idea of just studying for 1 hour a day. It was like, you're studying too much probably, and you're putting too much on yourself. Right. So he said, we're going to set your alarm. You're going to study for that hour. Nobody's going to interrupt you. Nobody's going to bother you for that 1 hour. When you're done, you're done. Don't look at nothing else. Don't go back to nothing else. I enrolled in therapy. That's when I enrolled in therapy after that second test. Because now I feel like everything is chaotic in my life. My uncle is sick. My mom has some medical issues going on. My sister, my nephew, is like, everything is like coming on me on top of things at work and my household. I'm like, okay, at some point I'm really going to like snap, and it's not going to be a good snap. So I said to CJ, I was like, I wanted to reach out for a therapist for a while, but I was too scared to. So I was like, you know what? I think it's time. It's definitely time now, because I can't do this by myself. Now I'm literally at the point where I'm mentally drained and gonna have a breakdown. So I enrolled into therapy, was talking to her for a couple of meeting up with her once a week. And we came up with the suggestion of meditation and making sure I have time for myself. Even though I have work and school and all this stuff going on, I still need to carve out something for me to regroup and to do things that I like. So I started doing more self-care. I've started going to get my nails done. I started going to just do things that makes me happy. Even if it's going to sit at a coffee shop for a few minutes by myself. That's what I was doing. So all of that mixed with everything, with all the tests and studying, I said to CJ, I'm like, if this does not work, I'm here to tell you that I don't know if I can come back from going forward with this again. I am going to be, we're not going to do this. So CJ's like, no. And every day he was like, okay, we have this thing that we got from This Is Us. What's the worst scenario that could happen if you don't pass? I'm like, well, I just won't pass. And he's like, okay, will you lose your job? I'm like, no. He's like, are you gonna lose your family? I'm like, no. He's like, so why are we giving up? He's like, we're not. The worst thing is paying another $200. Like, that's okay.
Right.
It's all right.
Right.
So he really, really helped me. Him with therapy, I'm telling you, without those two, I don't even know if I would even pass that exam the third time.
Right. Now,
literally,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say literally the day of the exam, there was so much going on. Like I didn't even know if I was gonna take the exam because a proctor called out and it's supposed to be 2 people.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, now I did all of this.
Right.
Then did my meditation, then did my praying, then boost myself up, got my confidence on 1,000. My husband cheered me on, prayed with me the morning of. And I get here, you're gonna tell me I can't take this exam?
Right.
So needless to say, I did take it.
Wow. So you did take it.
Yes.
And you did all this work, and I'd love to hear about the meditation piece. But I'm gonna go ahead and double back because the highlight, the climax of this story is that you did take it the 3rd time. You did rally, you did follow all that, and tell us about the result.
So another nerve-wracking day. So after taking it, I met up with one of my friends who passed the first time. She was my study buddy. We got really close during nursing school. So she was like, when you're done, just, we can hang out. So I told CJ, she want to hang out. He was like, sure, go for it. So after taking the exam, I went to her house. We had a glass of wine. We was just chit-chatting and stuff. I was playing with her kids and stuff like that. So I kept looking at my phone like every 5 minutes because now I'm thinking I'm going to get this email like I did last time saying that I failed. So I'm like, okay, nothing yet. 6 p.m. came, nothing. Went home, tried not to think about it, enjoying the family, relaxing, because now I'm at the point where I don't have to study for anything. So what am I going to do? So I still had like my notes. I had the little quick sticky pads that I brought to put like notes and stuff on. So those were still up on the wall. So I'm like, okay, I'm not taking those down because I might need those again. So I'm like, okay, let's just stop thinking about this. So we went out. I believe we went out that night to have something to eat just to keep my mind off of it. The next day, still nothing. I'm like, okay, so we got to wait 48 hours for the quick results. I took it on a Saturday. Okay. So Monday came and I'm like, okay, I kept trying to find different ways to see if I made it. So I'll go onto the website where I have my previous LPN license on to see if it changed. So I'm like, okay, it's still saying pending. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. So finally I was at work. CJ was like, well, do you want me to come to your job so we can review the results together? Or do you want to wait? I said, no, I'll just wait till I come home. We'll take a look at it and stuff like that. So we went on, we did the quick results, but it said it was still pending. So I'm like, okay, now I'm really concerned because it's 48 hours past. So I'm trying to understand like what's happening.
Right. Why? So, what's going right?
Right. So at that point I was like, okay, I could still fail because my first one, I stopped at the same amount of questions and I was told that I failed 48 hours later. The second one had less questions, got an automatic message saying I failed. So I'm like, I'm not sure where this is going. So he ended up taking our oldest to dance and I kept playing with it, like going on, trying to go another way to see if they happen to change my license. Nothing yet. So I'm like, okay. So literally 8 o'clock, I went on and it said I can review my results. So I'm like, okay. So I text CJ, I was like, I can review the results now. He was like, all right, we're on our way. So he had Kaden come downstairs. Him and Serenity came in the house. So Serenity took the laptop and everything and she put the information in for the card to get the results and all that stuff. So now I'm like, okay, before you click the button, what facial expression are we going to do? Like pass or fail, which one we doing? Right. So CJ is like, we're not doing any of it. We're just going to tell you the results. Again, what's the worst that can happen? We've been through this. It's okay. Regardless of the results, you're going to be okay. So I'm like, okay. So now I got to get up and walk away because I'm ready to snatch the laptop out of Serenity's hand to just look at it. Right. So they're looking, they couldn't find the results. And then all of a sudden, CJ jumps up. So I'm like, what happened? He was like, it says pass. I immediately started screaming. I jumped on CJ. I don't even know how he caught me, but he did. I basically like but I nudged my kids a lot. Like, oh my God, I passed. And then I went in the kitchen and had like a literal spiritual breakdown. I was just praising, thanking, just everything and crying. Like, I didn't even know it was so many different emotions in such a short period of time that I didn't even really, it didn't really sink in all the way. So now here I am texting all my friends, all my family, like, oh, I passed. CJ's like, all right, I'm gonna do the cousins. I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh, like, it was so much going on. So I went over to my mom, because my mom, she's an early bird, and I went in her room and I'm like, I passed. She's looking at me like I'm crazy. She was like, what? Why are you loud? What are you doing?
Why are you loud? Like, okay, you passed, but you got scream.
Right. You don't have to do all that. So once I finally told her what happened, I was like, I passed the exam. So now she's up, she's shouting, she's praising him. My sister come out her room, she's doing the same thing. So I'm like, okay, now this feel good. This is the reaction I wanted the first time around. But
that's amazing. So now here you are.
I'm here.
All the way there. And I have a special place in my heart for nurses, because my mother was a nurse, she was an RN, so special place in my heart for it. This 7-year-old girl who was taking care of the doll's broken leg and all this kind of stuff, what is it like compared to what she imagined?
Sometimes I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, I know we didn't go the way that you had planned, and that's okay. You got there. So it doesn't matter. And I even tell my kids, and sometimes like even people at work that I work with, like the younger kids there that always have stuff, I'm like, it's not how you get there. The point is you got there. You succeeded. You did it. Because I think about that a lot. I always think about, okay, why did I wait? Like, why did I just didn't do this first? Okay, why didn't I do that? And it all depends on your background, like who you have in your corner. Like your support system matters. Like those people that's back there, like supporting you, helping you with information or giving you information that you never knew about matters. So looking back at my younger self to now, no, it didn't go as planned, but we made it. We're here.
I love it. And I love that you keep pointing out, I mean, whether it's with CJ or just, going and celebrating with your mother and your sister, community, because obviously with WeAlign, and I know you've been in there, and I appreciate you joining and everything, and I am a firm believer that it really does make a difference, that teams make a difference, people make a difference. I'm curious, like going forward, do you feel like having had this experience and seeing the difference that it makes, has that impacted you at all in terms of your own thoughts, your own strategies, in terms of how you show up for other people? Like, this is such a powerful, and has been such a powerful experience from you. I wonder if it's impacted how you look at some of that.
It does, because not only I was dealing with anxiety and stress, I also was dealing with lack of confidence in myself, and not just for school, but body image, like thought process. So it definitely helps me now to look at it in a different light and to just let others know, like, it's okay. You're not perfect. No one's perfect. And to give yourself more credit than you do. And that's a lot of that I didn't do. Like, I always thought about what other people thought of me or what other people did that I didn't do. I never thought about what made me happy and how content I am in my skin and for myself. Every other day now, I'm waking up like to sending the girls affirmations like, you are beautiful, you are worthy, you are kind. I'm not just sending that to them for them, it's for me as well. So even now with just reaching out to people, I have a friend that I used to work with, she's constantly calling me like, I miss talking to you because you give me so much insight, you help me. A lot of people look at me as being mean sometimes because I'm really forward. I mean, I don't have a filter sometimes, I will say that. But there are times where I do let some words that people say towards me that's negative, like put me down. And I have, with this whole process, I've stopped that. I can't, negativity, I don't want it. It's not going to do anything for me, but tear me down. Right. So I'm doing more positive sayings and positive things to people instead of saying, no, you can't do this. Well, yes, you can. Let's look at different ways of doing it. I have a friend that's going through school now. She's anxious because she's trying to get into the radiology program. So she's texting me like, I can't do this. I can't do this. Yes, you can. You can. And you will. It may not go as planned, but you will get there and you will do it no matter what. You may have to change a few things. You may have to say, no, I can't go here sometimes. It's okay. So now I find myself saying to others exactly what was said to me. Like, you can say no. It's okay.
I love that. And I actually particularly love it because my last question to you was going to be, what would you say to somebody who's in that position where whether it's literally or not, who they've just failed their second time and we're trying to get them to keep going, and because you're the type to take care of folks and to make sure that you look out for others, that was your instinct to share that all on your own. So I really appreciate it. I am so grateful. I guess it's two levels of this. First, I'm so grateful that you were willing to do this. When we got the text that you passed, I was so excited and I just was so happy for you. And I know what it is to work for something and get it and what that can mean. And I'm still like, I smile every time I think about it.
I still can't believe it. So
it's just great. It's just great. But I also just thank you for who you are and how you are. And to have you in the family, like literally in my family, but just in my circle of people and the way you are, everything you said about looking out for other people and so on, like I've witnessed it. And it really, it means a lot. You make the places where you are better. And I've gotten to benefit from that. And so just thank you. Just really thank you.
Oh, thank you.
You didn't see that coming up.
I did. I was like, where is he going? All right. I guess I should have kept CJ tissue close by.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, don't tell other cousins I said nothing.
All right.
I just like to
be
make
our
fun
secret.
of people. There you go. But I know. Thank you for being here, and I appreciate you so much. I'm very proud of you. And LaToya RN, go get them.
Thank you so much.
All right, now take care.
All right, you too.
Bye. Y'all know what time it is, and what's funny is so did I. It's time to walk the line. It was time for me to walk the line and record the walk the line, but I was having trouble figuring out what it was I wanted to say. And then it hit me that I was missing it because it was so simple. Walk the line, just like LaToya did. Walk the line, do the work, show up. Trouble will come. There will be setbacks. But if it's one thing that my cousin, my friend, LaToya has shown us, is that the other side of frustration most definitely can be success. Walk the line. You really want to walk the line? Join in with some other folks, join in on some community, come through WeAlign, wealign.alignp.com, work together, answer these questions, think about these issues. We're going to have more going on. Soon they're going to be courses. We're not even ready to talk about that part yet. We have an ambassador program for those who are sending other folks to the site. So we're going to be learning some things about that and sharing some things about that. Come through, make it happen. Let's walk the line together. Let's together be our best selves, living our best lives. If you like what you're seeing here, like us on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube. If you like what you're hearing here, go to wherever you get those podcasts and make sure you like, rate, review, subscribe, and join in on this conversation with us at WeAlign, on Twitter, on Facebook. Where you at? We on TikTok. Where you at? We'll come find you, but we want you to join in on this conversation and make sure you're living your best life. I will see y'all next time. And I wasn't going to leave before I said that you can get unstuck. You can be unstuck. You can live unstuck. Unstuck as fuck. Now, let's walk the line.